Let me tell you a story. Not the kind you hear in movies. Not the kind with a sudden tragedy or dramatic breakdown. This is the story of someone who didn't collapse. They dissolved. Quietly. Slowly. Almost imperceptibly. The way ice melts in a glass. You don't notice until half of it is gone. And their past. Their past wasn't brutal in the obvious ways. No explosions. No police sirens. No shocking betrayals. Their past was brutal because it was ordinary. And the world never believes that everyday pain can carve wounds deeper than disasters. They grew up in a house that outsiders admired. A house where the lights were always on. Where dinner was served on time. Where the curtains matched the sofa. But inside that home lived a rule that no one ever dared to write down. If you feel something, hide it. Crying was called drama. Fear was called weakness. Loneliness was called attention-seeking. And needing comfort was considered childish. So they learned young that the safest way to survive was to disconnect. Not from people. They smiled, they laughed, they participated. They disconnected from themselves. And that was the first wound. A wound everyone could see. But nobody recognized. There were tiny moments that chipped pieces of them away. The time they tried to speak, and someone didn't look up from their phone. The time they asked for help, and someone said, "Stop being dramatic, you'll be fine." The time they tried to open up, and someone laughed like it was a joke. Each moment seemed small, forgettable, harmless. But emotional decay rarely announces itself dramatically. It happens in small, invisible earthquakes. Little by little, they started shrinking. Speaking less. Asking less. Expecting less. And eventually, feeling less. Growing up didn't make things easier. It simply gave them new environments to hide in. School, college, work, relationships. Every place offered new reasons to stay silent. People saw them as independent, strong, mature, low maintenance. But that wasn't maturity. That was survival behavior. You'd be surprised how many people look stable, because falling apart was never allowed. Inside them, something fragile began to form. A belief that their existence was a burden, not because anyone said it, but because no one ever contradicted it. The real breaking never comes with yelling. It comes in moments like this. Standing in the shower, and forgetting how long they've been there. Waking up exhausted, from dreams that didn't feel like dreams. Feeling hungry, but not enough to actually move. Laughing at something, and immediately questioning why it didn't feel real. Or lying awake at 3 a.m. and asking the ceiling, very quietly, why am I still here? They didn't want to die. But they didn't want to participate either. Life became a blur of obligations and emotions that never fully formed. Their mind was filled with windows that refused to open. There comes a day when a person looks in the mirror and sees a face they recognize, but a life they don't. For them, it happened on an extremely ordinary morning, not after a fight. Not after a tragedy. Not after anything. Just a random day. When the sunlight felt too bright. The silence too loud. And the weight inside them too heavy to describe. They got dressed. Went to work. Spoke to people. Smiled when required. But inside, one sentence echoed. I can't keep doing this. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a cry for help. It was a confession. From a soul exhausted by carrying years of invisible heaviness. This is the part people misunderstand most. When someone slowly stops wanting to live, they don't vanish dramatically. They fade. They stop responding quickly. Stop making plans. Stop laughing with their whole face. Stop trusting compliments. Stop feeling proud of anything. They start sleeping at odd hours. Not because they're tired, but because unconsciousness is easier than consciousness. They start saying, "I'm tired," instead of, "I'm breaking." Because tired is socially acceptable. Breaking isn't. The world doesn't see the collapse. Because collapse, in real people, looks like stillness. People imagine the edge as a dramatic cliff. It's not. It's a quiet place. A thought that whispers, "If I disappear, nothing changes." Not suicidal. Just done. Done with pretending. Done with surviving. Done with being the strong one. Done with holding pain like it's oxygen. But this story isn't about ending. This story is about the moment right after. Because something unexpected happens next. Hope never returns loudly. It comes as something tiny, almost unnoticeable. For them, it came as a small, random moment. Maybe seeing an old photo, and remembering a version of themselves that once laughed without hesitation. Maybe hearing a song that reminded them that their mind still responds to beauty. Maybe someone saying, "I miss you," in a genuine tone. Maybe watching the sky change colors and realizing that the world moves, even when they don't. Something ordinary, something fragile, but something real. And for the first time in months, they didn't feel empty. They felt curious. Curious about whether life could still surprise them. Curiosity is not hope. It's smaller, but it's enough. Because curiosity means they haven't completely given up. Healing didn't start with motivation. It didn't start with a big choice. It started with a micro decision. I'll stay for one more day. Just one. And the next day, the same decision. Not for the world. Not for expectations. Not for anyone else. For themselves. Slowly, they started doing tiny things. Opening the curtains. Answering a message. Drinking water. Taking a shower. Telling one truth. Letting one tear fall. Without feeling ashamed. They weren't getting better. They were just trying. And trying is enough to pull someone back from the edge. 1 inch at a time. It took time. More time than anyone around them realized. But gradually, almost secretly, their mind began rebuilding. A little more energy. A little more clarity. A little more self-respect. A little more meaning. They started noticing small things. The calmness of evening air. The softness of their own heartbeat. The comfort of silence that isn't lonely. They began to understand something profound. They never wanted to stop living. They just wanted to stop hurting. And the moment they separated those two truths, something inside them unlocked. Life stopped feeling like punishment and started feeling like possibility. Faint, distant, but real. This person didn't rise like a phoenix. They rose like morning light. Slow, gentle, almost invisible at first. Their scars didn't vanish. Their past didn't rewrite itself. But they learned something. That changed everything. My story doesn't end with silence. And from that moment, they stopped disappearing and started returning. Not dramatically, not loudly, but steadily. The way a cold room slowly warms when someone finally remembers to turn on the light. And that is the real truth. People don't lose the will to live because they're weak. They lose it because they're tired. But people also regain the will to live, in the same way they lost it. Quietly, slowly, and unbelievably beautifully.